Alright, I'm just thinking about what I want to talk about today. And nothing comes to mind, except for it's very chilly for the middle of summer. It's very chilly here for the middle of summer. Just been sitting here realising that I'm really glad I put my jumper on and wishing I'd put my hat on. It's a little bit chilly, but at least there's no wind. All of the sheep are lying down, resting. Hello, welcome to my live. I'm sitting outside my caravan again on the step. Oh, puppy at my feet. Because he's never very far away. No wind to disturb our... no wind to disturb the mic today. Roosters doing their usual crowing. Wild rabbits in the paddock eating sheep fodder. Tiki's a fairly good hunter, but he can't keep up with the rate of the population explosion. Yep. Sheep are resting and chewing their cud. You know, I'd never realised that. You know, my grandparents were dairy farmers. My grandfather was a Jersey breeder and judge. And I used to love the cowshed. All my holidays were spent there. Hello, Lily. Beautiful to see you. And I used to go there, and there was a smell about it that I loved. It wasn't just there was the smell of the urine and the manure, but there was another smell that I could never identify. And I thought it was cows. But now I've realised it's the smell of remnants, because the sheep have the same smell. Sheep's breath smells like cow's breath. Isn't that interesting? And of course, I associate that with the warm smell of milk. So, you know, feeding my sheep, I've got the orphan lamb that I feed nuts to by hand in the evening. And she comes up and breathes on me. And it's like, why do you smell like milk? It took me a little while to figure out that she doesn't smell like milk. She smells like a ruminant. As horses have a different smell. Their breath smells sweet too, but it always smells of grass. I love horse breath. It's always so clean and fresh and healthy smelling. I had a lovely experience with them last night. The two older horses came home a little over a week ago. My friend who's had them for a bit over a year, because she had too much grass and wanted a couple of horses to keep the grass down a bit, because if it's too long, the sheep can't eat it. So she's had them for just over a year, but she's going overseas going home for a holiday, and she didn't want them there unattended. So she brought them home. And it's taken them about a week to really settle in, but I was just in there because Arlo came back with lots of tangles in his mane. He's got a really fine mane. And he's settled in enough now that he stands there and just let me start to untangle his mane. So I'm just standing there quietly untangling his mane, and my old mare comes up, because it was then that we were away. Her name's Ella. She came up and she stood behind me. Next thing I know, she's popping her head over my shoulder and wrapping me in her neck, you know, like a horse hug. And it was just one of those really special moments. I just felt my herd's back. He's there being quiet and calm, and I mean, he's a thoroughbred, right? So they're just spicy, and he's also highly sensitive, so he can get anxious really quickly. And like when I was in the depths of my grief, he would walk away when I went out for some solace because he couldn't cope with my pain. Whereas Ella would come in and hold it with me. So I'm out there and I'm untangling his mane, and it's tangled because it's been falling out. He's been shedding, and it gets tangled if you don't brush it regularly. And so he's untangling it and pulling these handfuls of hair out of his mane. And she's up behind me and just gently against me. And then he puts his head down and starts asking for a rub. So I put my hand out like this and start scratching him. And he scratches where he wants, and then I'm not quite right. So he starts pushing his head against my hand to get my scratches just right. It's those moments that make everything worthwhile for me. Just that trust. You know, they're not there for food. They've been fed. Their tummies are full. But they're just coming for company. And when my young mare, the one who's only just turned 4, when she comes and just stands beside me, she won't let me. She's not into scratches or being brushed or being cuddled or anything. She's still learning to trust. But the fact that she'll just come and stand with me, ears forward, and eyes soft, muzzle soft, it warms my heart every time as well. You see, each horse is different. And when you've only ever got one at a time, you don't realise, even just two, you're still not really going to understand true herd dynamics, and you don't start to understand what's really going on and how different they are in personality and temperament. I love horse hugs too. They're just the best. I hope you can hear me over Tiki's growling. He posturises all the time. He guards me from his brother. I did warn Riley when Tiki was a puppy, because Riley was a little bit, aggressive with him. And I said to him, well, he's going to grow up and be the alpha, and he'll be beating you up constantly when he's older if you keep on treating him like that. Of course, Riley has his own anxiety, and yeah, so now Tiki makes it worse sometimes. Yeah, that's just Tiki telling Riley to stay away. Growl, growl, growl. Don't jump up, please. Don't knock my drink over. Swallow my cup. When I first moved in with Sue, she had a black cup with that writing on it. And at the bottom it says, keep calm and mantra om. And I just loved it because, Sue was the person who was furthest from ever mantraing om that you could meet. And I just loved it. I just, at the top, it's like a crown. And so when I broke it, I was so upset when I broke it, she went to Society 6 and bought 20 different colours. I am never, ever going to run out of fuckity fuck cups. Growling dogs and non-growlers this morning. Yeah, I love dogs. I love cats. I just love animals. Funny that. I do love the animals. They're just honest. Well, most are. They don't tend to be in their egos. They're much more what you see is what you get. They don't plan anything. They're always just in the moment. There's nothing better than an animal to help you learn to be in the moment. And I guess this last almost 3.5 years with only animals for company 99% to 99.9% of the time. yeah, I guess I've become a little feral myself, really. More like the animals, which isn't a bad thing. I don't think it's ever a bad thing to be more like the animals, present in their body all the time, living in the moment. And of course we have a few more cares than the animals. I agree, they are the best communicators. When we listen. And we don't try to give them human values. And we meet them where they are. I know people who, and I've been guilty of it myself, who don't meet the animals where they are. But I decided quite a long time ago that if we're supposed to be the most intelligent species on the planet, then surely it's up to us to put ourselves in their shoes and try to see things from their perspective rather than expecting them to see it from ours. So I just feel that if you can't do that, if you're not able to try to see things from their perspective rather than treat them like humans in a different skin, you treat them like who they are. Not saying you don't value them as much as humans, because I do, but that's sometimes more. I know, I agree with you, Lily. How can we believe that we're the best when we do what we do to the planet? How destructive we are. It's a sad effect, but hopefully this is changing with the energies that we have happening and this new Aquarian age stuff and all of the changes that we've just... The planet is moving into a different energy. And I think more people are going to end up feeling like we do. I think the world is going to slowly change. And the more that more people that do see the world the way that we do, the animals the way that we do, the planet, nature, and actually understand that we are all one, then the more it becomes like a domino, like a snowball rolling down a mountain. It picks up more and more as it goes, and the bigger it gets, the more it picks up, and it gets to a point of maximum velocity that the whole mountain falls down. Hallelujah. Yes, but they do say it only takes 1%. Oh boy, I got Riley here trying to dig his head under my arm. I do too. I know Pam Gregory actually has a thing once a week where people sit in their own time zone and meditate for peace, world peace. I think it's 7 p.m. your time or something, but I can't remember because I just try to be in that space all the time. But if you have a busy life, then working, going out and working for someone else and trying to hold everything together like so many of us did for so many years, raising families, working full time, being mothers and wives and housekeepers and entrepreneurs or career women and holding it all together. You don't have time to be fully present all the time. And so taking those specific times that you are, and her idea is that this meditation for peace rolls around the globe for 24 hours, which is a beautiful concept. I do like a lot of what she says, and it's like she speaks about grounding first and then being in your heart. which of course is what my guides have told me. And I listened to her and I thought, here you are saying what I've been saying. And that's lovely. I know why cause harm to another? You know, why take more than you need? Why rape and pillage? I mean, I know that's what the Vikings did 1,000 years ago. More, 1,500, wasn't it? Wasn't it about the 300 to 400s around then that the Vikings were? Maybe it wasn't that long ago. I don't know, we feel like it was so long ago, but like the Dark Ages was only 600 years ago. Yeah. They would get in their boats and go and rape and pillage. I don't know if I know my daughter's ancestors definitely are Viking. Her father is Viking blood. Looks like a Viking. But my ancestors came to New Zealand as whalers, the first whalers. So, you know, the sins of the forefathers, that in those days they didn't know better, and we do now. And knowing better, I feel we should do better. Pointing fingers or pointing fingers at people because what their ancestors did, I don't think that is constructive. And feeling guilty about what our ancestors did is not constructive either. Heal the timeline by sending love to the situation, accepting that that's a part of your blood lineage and that's what was done at the time. But stepping out into the world in a totally different way now is it's the divine feminine way. And saying that, rape and pillage isn't divine masculine, it's just toxic masculinity. And I think what's happened is, you know, we speak about women being suppressed, but men have as well. We've all been under this this veil of control that has just warlike energy and rape and pillage and not honouring, not being in a place of honouring and gratitude. And when you think about the Native American way, how they talk about, and the Native Australians, the Aborigines, they see it the same way. The Aborigines look at a tree and call it their brother. Oh, Riley's up in Rikki-tikki. It's a dominant signal. Yeah, the tree. They see the tree as a brother, and a mountain as a mother, and so everything is related in the eyes. Yeah, well, they both are. They're both red bags. Riley's just trying to get a little bit of dominance because it's Tiki that's doing the growling here. And he's just keeping Riley away from me, and Riley just wants to come and sit close. Yeah, honouring and gratitude. Well, seeing everything as one, like, you know, like actually feeling it. Because when you feel that you're one with the trees and you're one with the animals, one with the birds, one with the ocean, one with the wind, that nothing is separate. They were all connected. When you actually feel that oneness, hey puppy, when you actually feel that oneness, you can't harm. because you know that harming other is harming self. Yeah, I know big shifts are coming. It's all over the stars, really. The astrology is talking about new beginnings. I can't remember how many planets there are, but they're all moving into Aries this year. I think there's something like 4 or 5 planets that are going to be transversing through, starting their movement through Aries. Some of them, of course, take 12 years longer. It is, it's coming, it's coming. If you feel unsettled, the best thing to do is the grounding that you do, the time you spend in nature. You know, when you go for your walks. We discharge a lot of that energy through our feet or our hands when we contact nature. Now, you can do it with a pet who's on the ground, as long as you can touch their skin. Like Tiki's wall doesn't work. If I can find his skin, it does. But yeah, we discharge that energy. Like when I'm at my worst, when I'm really super agitated, the best thing for me is just to go and lie down on the grass, lie on the earth, and just let her hold me for however long it takes for my nervous system to recalibrate. You'll find that helps keep you calm. And then when you sleep, you'll be processing everything. We process everything, and our subconscious makes sense of everything and sticks it in its correct filing place. Yeah, earth's medicine for me too. Itchy nose. Excuse me. Oh, just bare earth is good too. It's just grass softens it a little bit. And it's a little bit less dirty when you get up. Actually, you know, a guy I worked for when I was 17, he's a family friend, he's an orchardist. And he was teaching me how to run the orchard, because that's what I decided I wanted to do. And then I didn't get a placement. And then by the time my name came up the next year, my life had changed and I was working and, you know, life had moved on. I didn't do it. Kind of wish I had, but I guess I did what I was supposed to do. But this guy, he said to me one day, it's soil when it's outside. Tiki, it's only dirt when you bring it in on your feet. I've always remembered that. It's dirt when you bring it in on your feet. Or when it gets on your clothes, but it's soil otherwise. So do you live in the desert, Lily? In a desert environment? There's not much grass. Amazing how things survive in the desert, isn't it? Like, you know, when you think about, they have like, you have jackrabbits, don't you, in the desert, and other animals that survive. Because it's different from the Sahara, where there's just absolutely nothing that grows. I've never actually landed in LA, but I've never been in America. Oh, hills, mountains, and ocean. Oh, Lily, that sounds beautiful. Hills, mountains, and ocean. That's the best. The mountains with snow on them in the winter. the smell of the ocean. Yeah, if you're by the ocean, it does get a bit moody, doesn't it? Especially on the west coast. It's a big ocean, the Pacific. Really, 37 years. It's very bohemian, isn't it? I mean, it's in LA that all of the big movements started. It was in LA that the big anti-Vietnam protests started, and the natural birthing movement started in LA. It's just the people there are very alternative in pockets, and then you've got the people that are super or let's just say you've got the Hollywood crowd. It's all about appearances. It's really interesting that two such disparate communities live in the same area. It depends on where you are. Nature can be very crazy, especially there and around LA. You get those massive fires coming through. I have an American friend who told me in the last big LA fires, any house with a blue roof or a blue vehicle, none of them got burnt. Linda, hello, welcome. I've got Linda and Lily. Welcome. We've just been talking about, goodness me, everything. Climate, animals, connectedness, that feeling of oneness, and how we consider ourselves the ultimate being on the planet when we're really not. Riley, leave the eggs, please. He's just trying to get into my little egg stash. Riley, leave. Riley. The hens are laying just outside the door here. And Riley's just found the eggs and he's wanting one. I was like, no, those are mine. That's what I have for my dinner. It's lovely to have you here, Linda. They just better than ever. I was a couple of minutes late starting too, to be honest. But I was lying down with my eyes shut for a little bit longer. And I woke up with, oh dear, I've got 6 minutes to get dressed and make my hot drink. Oops. Watch out. That's Ticky. Get down, love. Just before you both came on, we are sitting here. Ticky. The magpies were singing. Oh no. Or either that or else they're just saying, when are you going to come and feed us breakfast? Right, you want to see the horses? I have them. Come on, out of the way. Oh, I've been sitting in one place a bit long. The old bones get a bit stuck. I have them over here because there's a big bale of baleage that they've been getting into, and change the direction. There they go. And I can zoom in. Maybe not. No. If I do it that way, I can. I'm way down the south of the South Island. So we have 3 of them here, south of Dunedin. We've got Diamond, who's 5. She's the brown horse that's between you and the horse trailer. The one with her back to me is most likely Kofi, who's 3. And she's a little bit of a rat bag. She has 0 respect for fences. She thinks they're just a suggestion. And the one beside her is her sister Koru, who's 4. And Koru's the one that came to me so anxious that if you got within a metre of her, you got bitten. Like I'd be filling their hay bag and she'd try and bite me while I was filling it because she wasn't happy with being so close, with me being that close. And the reason why is because when she was a baby, as a little foal, her and her mother were in a paddock that was right beside the school, and the kids used to jump the fence and taunt her and tease her as a foal. So she grew up with no trust and no faith at all in humans. And as you can see, Diamond there is giving lead mare signals, saying, get out of my way, you've got the spot that I want. Now you've pulled this bit out, I want to be in there. And Kofi has a halter on because at supper time the other day she actually bowled me over, being totally disrespectful of my space. So I put a halter on her so that I can tie her up just before I feed everyone, so that she just learns that she needs to give me some space. All of the others give me space, they're very respectful, but she obviously was never taught it. They were taken away from their mums too early, and she's stroppy and bolshy, and she's such a solid looking thing for her age because her dad's a percheron. Both of those girls, their dads are percherons. And the other 2, the 2 old ones, they're not there, I don't know where they are. It's interesting because he's normally there eating. Arlo, the big thoroughbred, he's normally there eating 24/7. He's obviously gone off somewhere. He's never very far from Ella. And when I'm finished talking to you, I'll go out and find them, make sure she's okay. She's very old. She's an old girl. Had some tough times in her life. Was dearly loved, but she's come to me to retire. It was her and Arlo that were away for a few months, just over a year. They are very peaceful, but you see the dynamics that. But it's interesting because Diamond's gone back where she was again. They're all pretty much close to where they were before. Diamond obviously decided that the patch that Kofi had wasn't as good as she thought. She's bossy. She bosses all the other ones around. But yeah, those 2, Diamond and Kofi, aren't always aware of where I am. Here comes Arlo. There he is. He's a big black boy. He's beautiful. His hair is like velvet. And he's just magnificent. When he moves, he has the floatiest trot you can imagine. He moves like a dream. But he's highly anxious, very sensitive. But he's calmed down a lot. The year that he spent with my friend, he's changed. and he's much more steady in himself. He's, what is he, 12? I think he's 12, maybe 13. And yeah, he's just maturing now. So it takes a long time for these horses to mature. It takes a long time. Like they're at least 7 or 8 before they actually got their brains back in their heads again. Unless you've got like the really solid dependables like the Clydes. The drafts aren't so bad. But in saying that, Ko-Fi is a real drama queen. Anyway, here's my chickens waiting for this. They're waiting for breakfast. Look at them. Over there waving between the cars. Oh, there you are. Is that better? Did I think I muted myself. I'm sorry, ladies. I'm sorry. I must have just tapped it by mistake. Are we back? I'm sorry for that. I think I hit the mute button. Thanks for letting me know. When both of you said it was gone, it must have been me, right? That's a really calming place. Oh no, he's got one of the eggs. Well, I wasn't looking, he stole it. I have to stick a barricade up so he can't get at it. Riley, I said to leave the eggs. It is a calm, quiet place. I knew that the first time I came here. Good. It was my bad, I'm sorry. I hit the mute button. There's all sorts of interesting things here. There's like this, looks like a microphone, but I don't know what it does. Oh, whatever I did to it, it's going to keep on doing it. Yeah, Riley wants his breakfast, but he shouldn't be stealing the eggs from here. These are the ones where I know where they are. They go and they steal the eggs all around the farm. And like, that's fine. Just go ahead, but don't. Not the ones I know where they are and I can reach them. Because if the dogs steal all the eggs, the hens will move somewhere else and I won't know where they're laying. Because if I just take a couple a day from there, then the hens never know. Because they can't count past 3. Chickens can't count past 3. And yet they can recognize 30 different individuals. So you'll find in the wild that a chicken flock will never be bigger than around 30 because they recognize up to 30 individuals. But of course, yeah, that's in domestic situations and farms. There's often a lot more than 30. So then they move in groups. And there'll be arguments within groups, but they're worse between groups. And in the spring, leave! In the spring, the roosters get very territorial. Down here, Otago is very dry. The annual rainfall is like just under 900 millimetres a year on average. A really wet day is between 1 and 2 inches of rain. And that's like enough to cause flooding and landslides and things, just because of the way the land is. It's not designed to cope with that sort of weather. And yet up in Auckland, which of course is our biggest city, I remember one day we got 176 millimetres in an hour. And so, you know, that's, 170, 17 and a half millimetres, 17 and a half centimetres, which is 6.5, 7 inches of rain. And we'd never get that much rain here in a day. Very rarely would we get that much in a month. So it is a mostly dry place. We get what really keeps the soil, the grass growing here, is the snow we get in the winter, because the snow falls and then it takes a few days to melt away, and as it melts it slowly goes into the earth, and it just brings the moisture much deeper into the soil, and that is what keeps everything green. We have green droughts where we don't have rain, but everything looks green because of the moisture content deeper down. But we had no snow this year. So if we don't get regular rain, we will be having problems. But we've had a lot of rain, and there's an awful lot of standing hay everywhere. So it's going to be a good hay season, which will help see us through if we don't have enough moisture content to grow well through at the end of summer. You had rain come in your home. That's not very good. That's the way it works though, isn't it? You know, like we have these cycles where we'll be in a drought and all of a sudden the rain comes, but it's too much. It's too much. Yeah, green in New Zealand, like when you go up north to like through the Waikato, which is where I was born. My daughter is. It's really green. It's a verdant green. It's not quite the same green as Ireland. Ireland's kind of like an emerald green. They have more rain, so the grass is really lush. But here in New Zealand, it's still green, very green. And remember when I first arrived in Australia at the age of, how old was I when I went to Australia? 19. The first thing I noticed was the smell. The earth smells different. And how dry it is. And their forests, which are all gum trees, are very different. Can you hear that? It's a tui. That sound. That's a tui. A reasonable amount of the tui song is outside human hearing. I love listening to the birds. When you're really still and quiet on a day like this, when there's not much wind, it's really noisy. Like, it's silent, but it's really noisy with bird song. Because I've got this native bush right next to me. It's like 50 odd hectares down in there. And it's all covenanted. So, Riley! It's just trying to get another egg. It's all covenanted in there, so stock's not supposed to be in there. And it's a bird haven. There's so many of them. Oh, horses are having fisticuffs. Ella's showing up. Oh, good. It means she's okay. Yep, Sunday morning. New Zealand is a beautiful place. It really is. I have a friend who's just sold her house in Northland, and she's just yesterday crossed the Cook Strait on the ferry with her son, and they're heading down to Otago, there, North Otago. She's settling up north, up by Oamaru. And she'd never seen the South Island before. And I hadn't realised she'd never been here. Because, I used to work in the New Zealand Automobile Association, and people would come and find out, get some maps and ask, what should we visit? And I've always said to people, if you're going to New Zealand, if you're planning a trip to New Zealand and you've got 4 weeks, spend 1 week in the North Island and 3 in the South Island. Because the North Island is beautiful. Go up north, go to Northland and visit the kauri forests. And go down and visit the Central Plateau. Go check out some of our beautiful beaches up north. And then head down to the South Island and spend 3 weeks. And like Sue and I did a 3-week tour of the South Island for our honeymoon. And we only did the lower half. We flew into Christchurch and we only did the lower half. We didn't get up around Nelson. We didn't do Kaikoura, or maybe the lower 2/3. We did Haast and Arthur's Pass, and we went north just far enough to go and see the white herons. And which was a jet boat ride along a river. I've never been in a jet boat before. It was really cool. See these beautiful white herons, which are sacred birds. It's kotahu. And so I lugged all my camera gear in and took some beautiful photos of these magnificent birds in mating season. So they were in their full finery. And that's as far north as we went, and from there we headed south again, up over Arthur's and down to Lake Pearson. And the country around Lake Pearson, that's where a lot of the Lord of the Rings was filmed. Some of it was filmed in Hobbiton, but when they went on their journeys, it was the South Island. Hobbiton is just outside of Matamata. which is in Piako, within the Waikato Basin. But the I remember the very first time I drove through there in my 20s, I had this massive tug in my sacral, in my womb space, and it felt like home. And I wondered if I'd feel the same all these years later. And it did. It was. And we talked about going there and hiring a camper again and going up there and staying there for a few days once a year just to connect back to that energy, but we never made it. Then you got the vast areas of tussock. You have this beautiful red tussock, and there's some in Southland, but the biggest area is actually in Canterbury, I think. You drive for ages through this beautiful tussock, and there's sheep on that land because it doesn't sustain much else. The Mackenzie country has always been a really arid looking place. And then there's Alexander, and it has schist rock outcrops and buttes. It just pops out of the earth. And if New Zealand was a place of snakes, we'd have snakes living in those rocks. But we don't have snakes here. And I just look at them and they just, to me, I don't know, there's some real magic in those stones, in the land. The South Island speaks to me more than the North Island did. But saying that, there's a place we call the Divi, which is the range that takes you from Hamilton to Raglan on the North Island. Hamilton's in Waikato, and Raglan's to the west. And the land across the Divi is magnificent. It's steep. It's real hill country. And then also, if you're going from Hamilton through to Rotorua, you go through the Mamakus. And there you've got these lumps of hillocks that looks like a dinosaur's done a giant dump. And it's fascinating. Of course, it's limestone underneath them. Yeah, we live in an amazing, beautiful country. If you're in the North Island, you go to the Waitomo Caves is a must stop. It's a bit touristy, but the glowworms are unforgettable. You can find glowworms in other places. There's 3 places you can. There's a glowworm grove on the coast just outside of Hokitika. But you need to go at night and need to go like after 11 when everyone's gone to bed, because people show up with their flashlights, and of course the glowworms go out when they have light on them. So yeah, it's actually called the Glowworm Grove, Hokitika. Hokatika, Hokitika. I know, there was something so magical about those movies, wasn't there? I think that they really did a wonderful job of capturing the magic of Tolkien's writings. I mean, it's pretty hard to bring that sort of feel into a movie, but Peter Jackson did a good job. I read all the books when I was a teen. In fact, I read The Hobbit when I was 9. I was given The Lord of the Rings when I was 11. So a tween. And I just loved the world that he built. And I felt Peter Jackson did a really good job. Yes. they're pretty awesome. And the land that they put Hobbiton on, with all those little mounds and hills and tiny little mounds. It's fascinating. Oh, there's someone walking down the road. Oh, riding down the road. I think so. The orcs were cool too. I'm pretty sure that those that orc battles were down around Lake Pearson and Castle Rock. My neighbours out on their horses. Yeah, I'm blessed to be a Kiwi. Oh look, we've been going over an hour. I'm perfectly capable of rambling on for a long time, aren't I? Well, before we sign off, do you have any questions? Did anybody come with any questions? I do feel so blessed to have been born a Kiwi. I mean, I honestly don't think there's a better country in the world to have been born, except maybe Vanuatu. But yeah, it's not an easy place to get into. The hoops my daughter had, because my daughter was born in Australia, she had to jump through so many hoops to get her New Zealand citizenship, so she could come home. She has an anaphylactic reaction to vaccines. So when she wanted to come home, they wouldn't let anyone in who wasn't a citizen. Oh no, who didn't have residency. She didn't have residency because she left New Zealand without getting it. And so she had to get her citizenship so she could come home. And the hoops she had to jump through, even though both her parents were New Zealanders. She's born in Australia. He had to jump through hoops to get her Australian citizenship too. I think the easiest one was her Irish. My daughter has 3 nationalities. She travels on her EEC passport, and she has a New Zealand and an Australian one. She's a little bit blessed, really. Because at the time I said, if you have an Australian passport, you have the best of both worlds. Whereas a New Zealand citizenship, you have the benefits of New Zealand, but you don't get any Australian benefits because they don't extend it to Kiwis. Whereas an Australian citizenship, she gets those naturally. So, yeah, she went for her Australian instead, but then she couldn't get back to New Zealand through COVID. So now she has 3. Of course, said to her, and she goes into America, she went into America on her Irish passport, I think. Because you never want to go into an America, let them see more than one. You don't want them to see that you have more than one passport. The Americans don't like that. The authorities don't like that very much. Just get questioned a lot, I don't know what would happen now. Things are just a little bit different in your country right now. No questions? There's a new one coming out, isn't there, Lily? Isn't there a new Lord of the Rings? Or is it just an animated version? I would belong to the Cambridge Adult Writing Club, and one of the women there, her horse was bought by wasn't Peter Jackson, but by the whoever it was, that the quartermaster, I guess, in some way. I don't know what they actually call it. And he was actually in the movies. It's a big chestnut. with an awful canter. That was really cool. And at the end of it, I think the people were able to get their horses back. I don't know what happened to all of the horses. I don't think everyone took their horses back because very few people can have more than a couple at a time. Well, it's nice to have you here to share too. I haven't really talked about anything deep and meaningful today. It's just been a ramble. The sound of flies and roosters and chickens and dogs growling, tui's singing. It's amazing. You watch them sing, you'd be standing there and watching them. And they're singing, but you can't hear anything because the sound is beyond our hearing. And when you notice things like that, you start to wonder, how much do we miss with our limited hearing? How much do we miss with our limited seeing? Because our visual bandwidth is so tiny for the actual bandwidth of light. And our hearing bandwidth is so tiny for the bandwidth of sound. You know, we think that we live on a planet with everything so solid. Now, what we see, we think that's what it is. But there's so much we don't see. Like the way the bees find a flower. The way the flower reflects UV light, it looks different under UV light. And the bees see in UV, and so they find the most delicious flowers by the way they look with the UV light. And when you use a camera that can see in UV, you see the way the bees see. It's like a different world. And expanding our understanding like that is, I don't know, it just opens up so much. How much is really here that we can't see and we can't hear? You know, my guides actually said to me one day that my caravan is full of people. And I thought about the bathroom, and they laughed and they said, even in there, you are never alone. And I was like, huh. You know, and you realize that there's so much that we don't see. Sometimes we feel it. Sometimes I see them, but not very often. I have seen people who have passed on, that they've materialized in front of me before. But it doesn't happen often, thank goodness. You know, it'd be pretty scary to turn around and there's someone right behind you that wasn't there a moment ago. But it opens your mind to how much more vast things are than we realize. Because we really get stuck in this concrete thinking, don't we? That this is the reality. This that I believe is the reality. Well, regardless of what it is. You know, there's people very much stuck at the moment in their version of reality, and they can't see that things might be different than what they think it is. And then you carry that on further into like quantum, into the quantum thinking. And the New Age thought, the New Age writers of like the 40s and the 50s, where they spoke of, you know, like Neville Goddard et al. And they spoke of, they really did speak to how what we think creates our reality. And I remember reading one of them when I was like 14. And so I decided that I was going to create my reality what I want. So I cleaned out the garden shed. and I created it into a horse stall, put my bike in there, pretended my bike was a horse, and I pretend my bike was a horse. Go out and talk to it, pretend I was brushing it, looking after it, and doing everything for it. I was creating my own reality. I was 24 before I got my first horse. And so that kind of destroyed my faith in the you create your own reality thing. But I'm not sure if it was fair, because all that stuff's aimed at adults, isn't it? It's not aimed at children who don't have control of their world and their environment. Yeah, horse and waiting. I so much wanted a pony. I know we had bees here for a while, but I got them just before COVID, and then I got COVID really bad. Really bad. The doctor wanted me in hospital. Said, what are they going to do in hospital? Put you on oxygen. I've got an oxygen concentrator at home. I said, if I get bad enough that I need venting, I'll go to hospital. I think the fact that I was home and I had to feed everyone and get up every morning when I wanted to curl up in a corner and just die, had to get up and feed everyone every day is what kept me alive. But it was too much for me to check the hives, and the bees died. I just didn't have the lung capacity to lift the standard boxes off the hives. And yeah, COVID was crazy. It's left me with 70% of my lung capacity, which is why I always sound a bit breathless. That on top of my asthma. But that is what it is. I'm alive. And I don't let nothing stops me. It might slow me down, but it doesn't stop me. One way to prevent the bees from drowning in the bird baths is actually to put like a saucer out with a stone in it, so they can land on the stone and then drink from the saucer, and they can land around the outside of the saucer. Because, yeah, they do tend to land in the water and drown. I'm always saving bees out of the troughs. Yeah, find them there. Find them almost expired and gently bring them out and put them somewhere to dry off and hope they survive. But they only live 3 weeks anyway. And quite often the ones we find are the ones that are at the end of their lives because they leave the hive to die. They die alone to protect the hive. They're fascinating. I used to love just going and sitting out there and watching them, being around their buzzing. And they actually say the buzzing of a hive is the frequency is a healing frequency for humans. Well, probably a healing frequency for everything until you're stung, right? But yeah, bees are fascinating. Little soldiers, just doing what needs to be done. Yeah, I think they get thirsty on hot days. You don't find it happen so much in the cold weather, but on a hot day, they get thirsty, they need to hydrate, so they go and they try to find water. And it's okay if it's natural water because it has edges, but we tend to have water in things that are like don't have defined edges that are easy to cling onto, like soft edges, like ponds. The bird bath might be safer if it isn't full, but then the birds won't enjoy it so much. It's a very different sound from flies. So when you're beside the hive and you can hear them buzzing in there, they're talking. They're actually vibrating their wings to talk to each other. And again, you wonder how much they say that we can't hear. Because cats are the same. Cats communicate in a frequency that humans can't hear. They speak to each other, and we can't hear it. They meow, and it's beyond human hearing. And my hearing goes quite high. When I was younger, I could hear a dog whistle. And I can amazingly hear really low vibrations too. Yeah. Do you have hummingbirds there, Lily? Hummingbirds. We don't have them in New Zealand. I was really surprised when I realised how small they are. Tiny little things. And how they hover. I know some people put out feeders for the hummingbirds to feed them through the winter until the flowers come back in again. And you can set a camera up and you can capture them on digital film. And their colours are amazing. They're so iridescent. And we have something called a shining cuckoo here, which doesn't fly so amazingly, but it has those beautiful iridescent colours. And there was one just eating from one of my thistles a couple of years ago. My thistles have really dropped down. I don't know why. Scotch thistles are gone. I've just got the Kellys. But it was feeding on the Scotch thistles. The sparrows come and eat all the seeds out of the Scotch thistles so they don't grow next year. But the shining cuckoo comes and eats from the pollen. And then it goes off. But it has flashes of it, and I didn't know what it was. I looked it up. Eventually found out what it was. I listened to the sound it makes, and I realised that's what I'd been hearing in the summer. Hear this sound that sounds like a lost keat, lost guinea fowl baby. And I've wandered around trying to find my lost guinea fowl babies before, but it's been the shining cuckoos. And they do what cuckoos do. They lay their eggs in others' nests so that others raise their babies. You know, we tend to think that's a little bit rude, but when I think of the hens, a whole heap of hens will lay in, and sometimes the guineas will lay in the hen's nest, and sometimes I'll have guinea eggs, duck eggs, and hen eggs in a nest. But the guineas and ducks take 4 weeks, and the hens take 3. So the hens don't often raise the guineas and the duck eggs. Unless that's all that's in there, you steal all the hen eggs. I've got one hen who'll raise anything for me. And she'll sit for 4 weeks to raise ducklings or guineas. She's a good hen. She's a good hen. Oh, the wind took him. We do. We really get attached to these little creatures, don't we? I don't know. They bring that magic of innocence with them. And a part of ourselves connects with them on a level that can't be conceptualized. And when they leave us, it's really tough. You know, if we release them to the wild, because that's what's best for them when they're old enough, that's different. And the way they often come back. But to have a storm take them away, that's heartbreaking. You know, I've just remembered the story of the otter. guy in one of the New Hebrides Islands in Scotland. There's a, it's on YouTube, it's a BBC production about the otter. I can't remember the name of it. It's really brilliant. And this guy found this orphan otter and raised it and cared for it. And she went off, and he was really sad when she went away. In fact, his wife felt that she was competing with the otter. She totally accepted it, they didn't split up over it, but there was a little bit of friction in her own self about how he gave so much energy to this otter. But then she came back with her own young and raised her own young where she knew it was safe. And it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. I really recommend it. It's a well done documentary. Yeah. The wind does win. Amazing how powerful it is. Water's powerful, but I think wind's more powerful. I don't know. It's a bit of a contest there, isn't it? I guess if the water moved at the same speed as the wind, it would do more destruction. But it's the fact that the wind can move so fast across the land. We had that massive storm last year that took the power out in my district for 5 days. All my neighbours had no power. They were running Jennies. I said, come and use my freezer, I'll get it going. But no, they're all self-sufficient guys, so they had Jennies keeping their freezers frozen. Because I'm off-grid, I didn't lose power. The first thing I knew was I'd lost internet. So why have I lost internet? Why is the power down? 5 days. 5 days without internet. I was really glad it hadn't happened earlier. Those first 2 years after Sue died, I wouldn't have been able to cope with it. I would have gone mad. Because the internet was such a lifeline for me. And needed it. But now I cope much better if the grid goes down and I'm without the internet for a little while, I'm okay. It's even okay for 5 days. Oh, you saw the otter story. Wasn't it brilliant, Lily? I know, he became a different person because of her, didn't he? She really touched him in a deep place. The wild things do. The wild things do. They're really special. Have you seen it, Linda? The otter story, the otter documentary. It's blooming brilliant. Anyway, I should go and feed these birds. Horses, I don't have to. They've got their big bale of hay. I know, she was brilliant the way she just accepted it. They were real soulmates, weren't they? There was no jealousy. There was that bit of a feeling of, he's dedicating so much time to this otter, but she loved it too. She understood it. But the way he made things for her, he made her own little house and everything, and put a little cam in there. It's cool, wasn't it? He did. He built a little house for her, Linda, and he put a little cam in there so he could watch her from inside through the snowstorms and make sure that she was okay. And then she'd disappear, and he'd watch and he'd watch and he'd watch and he'd wait, and finally she'd come back after several weeks and he'd go, "Oh, she's okay. Look, she's back." It's just he watched the way that she'd rearrange it and make her bed more comfortable, and because he gave her blankets and everything. It's just such a brilliant story, a documentary, real story. What happened is that the film crew went and moved in for It's like 3 or 6 months, wasn't it, Lily? They became a part of their lives and really understood them at a much deeper level. The dog was it Tommy? Is Tommy the dog's name? Looked like a border collie. It's well worth it. It's it's on the BBC, and you can get it in America. We can't get it in New Zealand or the UK, but you can in America. We Zoomed, and my American friend shared it with me through screen sharing on Zoom, and we watched it. So but you do get an awful lot of Maybelline ads, makeup ads in America. Couldn't believe how many ads. It's like every 5 minutes there's ads. Yes, he did. So brilliant. Stories like that remind us that life is a lot more than we think it is. You know, I'm sitting here and there's these birds. They're not sparrows. They're a bit smaller than sparrows. Must be some sort of a finch. They've got red heads and yellow wings. I'll see if I can show you. Where are they? They're in there. They're in that Scotch thistle there. See them? They have red on the top of their heads and their wings are bright yellow. Brighter yellow than the ragwort. I think they're pulling the seeds out. See the yellow on their wings? It's beautiful to see. Oh. It's just sitting here and I could see them there, and nice to be able to share a moment of that like that with you. Some of the flowers have matured and they're before they've actually opened so that the seeds could fly away. The birds are pulling the fluff out to eat the seeds. And that's why I don't have those thistles, because they love the seeds. Like there used to be a whole heap of them out here. And the birds used to just, the year before last, they came and ate all the seed heads. So I've had none. There's one over there, and there's that one over there. There's another one over there, and there's a few in the sheep paddock. Need to go through and cut them all down. They're hollow stems, so it's best to cut them just before it rains. Thank you for joining me. It's been lovely to just sit here and talk and Yeah, talk to you responding. Thank you. Thank you for taking your time out of your day. You want me to keep doing this? I'm down to 10% battery on my phone. So I better go and plug everything in and get everything recharged before I start doing my card of the day later. Yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here with me. I can hear a cicada over there, which means it's going to be quite a warm day. The sheep are coming up for a drink. Where are they? Oh, I'm still zoomed in too much. Just been making their way single file. That's interesting. Those are both her daughters. Are they? That's the one that she raised. And I think the other one is the one that I raised. And the one way over there must be Asha. Yep, this is Boo. This is baby Boo. She's huge because she was hand raised and she got fed for longer. She's a little lumpy monkey. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm getting off, and we'll probably chop the beginning out of this one, and when I started properly sharing, we'll put it up live if you want to come back and watch again. But thank you. Love you all. I will see you later tonight or your morning. I'll be back. Have a wonderful evening, ladies. Thank you for being here. Bye.